I've been using the QIDI XMAX 4 for 5 months now, and it is a case-making factory. And honestly, one of my favorite printers ever. So I don't waste your time. There are bookmarks below, so you can skip to what matters to you. Also, I'm going to skip a lot of content that's covered in my other 3D printer reviews, so you don't have to watch those things twice. I want this to be casual, real world, how do I feel about this printer, not technical questions. There are other channels that do an amazing job at that. I'm just a guy that makes money off my 3D printers, doesn't want to mess with them, and loves designing for 3D printing. And then finally, I thought this would be fun too. If you have a question, even if it's 6 months from now, 8 months from now, and you find this video, ask it and I will answer to the best of my ability below. That way, if I miss something here, you have the opportunity to ask. All right. Something that's critical to me is reliability. I'm not talking about using a printer until it eventually wears out and fails. I've had those, and those can be great. My Centauri Carbon, I wore down to its little tiny knees, but I don't regret anything about that. But what I mean is is it going to take up my entire day troubleshooting some issue when I just want to hit print and go? Like I said, I've had this for over 5 months, and I had a pre-production unit that's gone through many firmware updates, but I guess none of those applied to me because every time that I hit print, this thing printed perfectly. No firmware crashes, no resets, no little quirks or bugs or weird retracts. Now, the only problem I ran across was actually the installation. The way that the tubes attach to the cable track is not intuitive and the instructions are pretty bad. Plus, the silicone tube used for the polar cooler will get caught on the glass and it will kink and it will cause problems. So all I did was I wrapped it in this corrugated plastic sleeving, which allows it to slide freely on the glass, and this is how I routed it. I hope this saves you some time, and QIDI, maybe you could consider putting something like this in the box, because it really does make a big difference. No issues once I got it correctly routed. The second big thing for reviewing any printer for me is what does it enable me to do that my other printers don't? And this one is the size. I have had large format printers before, and they've always been an absolute nightmare. In fact, one of the advice that I give to people, my friends that ask, what size printer should I get? I always say, get the smallest printer for the part that you're actually going to make, because the bigger that you go, the more problems. You know, the taller that you print, any problem at the base is going to be amplified once it gets to the top. We were trying to print cases on a big old giant Elegoo Neptune. Well, just even the smallest vibrations once it got to the very, very top of the build plate just turned it into mush. It's not something that you can make real parts with. Maybe statues and stuff like that. Great, that's fine, but that's not what we use printers for. I got actual, real, consumer-ready parts every single time that I printed. The second thing is that I can print entire assemblies all together. I don't have to arrange literally with 6 different printers, components and pieces to assemble and put together. I can print the whole thing out at once. And when you can do that, it starts enabling really creative design. And I was able to do things that I was never able to do with my other printers. So yeah, its size is absolutely not a gimmick. It's amazing. Now, one very big elephant in the room, literally, is this thing is huge. It's going to take up an enormous amount of space in any workspace, but it also weighs an absolute, it just weighs a lot. I had to get very creative trying to lift it up on the table so when I did an unboxing, I could shoot video and not have it be looking down on the floor. And man, when it says 2 people needed, I think that I should have taken that one actually seriously. Now, talking about big again, one of the things that makes it good and big is that the heated bed is actually good. This is a problem with all 3D printers that I've used so far. The heated bed isn't super even. Even on my bamboo printers, I couldn't print small little parts in sequential order for production on the back left corner on my unit. Every single time I would do that, it would fail. And these parts, I couldn't use a brim or anything like that. So I just skipped that part of the bed. And of course, it also meant that if I did a really thin flat piece, I could have issues back there if I didn't really liberally use glue. Now, with the XMAX 4, not only can I print out enormous thin sheets, which I do all the time, but I could actually do sequential tiny, teeny parts anywhere on the bed. bottom line is, if I put a part on the bed, it was going to stick there, which is really good, especially for a large format printer, because some of these prints are going to take 30 or 40 hours because of the giant size that I have access to. Now, again, I'm not very technical. I did buy a heat camera because I was kind of interested in seeing what's going on, but I don't really know how much it shows. QIDI claims that it's just because it's a very powerful heater and it's very even. Claim what you want. As long as it works, I'm on board. I do want to like blow through the quality of life stuff because I think the Q2 video, which I did, that covers a lot of the new updates that made it over to this machine. But there's just even more. A small, tiny one, which is really appreciated for someone that prints every single day, is the bottom of the bed is ramped up so you can just easily sweep all the debris right out. Some printers claim this. I think even the Q2 claims it, but then there's plastic in the way, so you can't actually clean the machine very well. The screen is really good. It's just as good as any of the bamboo screens that I've used. And the UI is really polished and the graphics are great now. I know it's a small, silly little thing, but like, it's nice to have a machine that looks modern and nice. And I'm kind of weird, like, why does the XMAX 4 get these updates, but the Q2 doesn't? I don't know. A big important thing for quality of life is the sound. This thing is so big and so heavy and so robustly built that it's actually quiet, relatively speaking. Now you can go listen to my other 3D printers and keep doing this in this video right here. But the point is that, in my opinion, the XMAX 4 is not only a quiet machine, but it's also a good sounding machine. Plus, it looks really nice in this space gray. It looks way more premium than QIDI's past printers, and it looks on par with Bamboo's printers now, which is amazing upgrade, which means that I can keep this in my kitchen and have it look kind of like an appliance and have my wife not be super mad because it's really loud and really ugly. Plus, being that it's a huge cavern that I can fit half my body into, it's easy to do maintenance on it. So one of the ways that big printers can overcome the challenge of just physics is by lowering the speed of the print. I was really concerned about that, especially because it ships with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, and I couldn't buy 0.6 millimeter nozzles for I haven't gotten it yet. Like I said, it's been 5 months. But luckily, this machine still prints really fast, just as fast as my other printers. It might actually print faster in some regards. Like it does not take long at all for it to do its pre-warm-up cycle. So again, that's a really powerful heat bed. It doesn't take long to make the chamber hot compared to the other printers. And it doesn't take long to do the bed mesh, which is really surprising because it's a giant, huge bed and it works every single time. Okay, print quality. If there was a compromise in print quality, because again, I'm making parts that I'm actually selling and shipping to customers, then it doesn't matter how good it is anywhere else. But the print quality on this is 100% as good as my X1C, which is extremely high praise because I love that printer. I'm using my XMAX 4 and my X1C pretty much exclusively just because the XMAX 4 can do the work of several printers at once and still have the quality of my X1C. So yeah, the print quality, absolutely phenomenal. But I mean, look at these parts. You can decide for yourself. I think this is what I had in mind when I imagined what 3D printing could be years ago, before I knew the reality of 3D printing. Let's talk about the Polar Cooler now. It is a Peltier system, I don't know how to pronounce that word, with an air pump that blows cold air on your extruder gears. Now, QIDI makes all sorts of claims about this product and how it revolutionizes 3D printing. I rolled my eyes at the marketing material, but whatever. Like I said before, they can claim whatever they want as long as it works, and my prints have been fantastic. I have been printing with the door closed and the top closed, which makes the printer even quieter for PLA, and I've done 30 plus hour prints in PLA with absolutely no clogging and no warping at the base. It's really nice to be able to use a heated chamber with PLA. Okay, so maybe it's not the cooler that does anything, all right? I don't know, but the prints speak for themselves. Okay, so when you talk about the box has been working great so far, but the Q2 box worked for me great all the way up through the review I made. Now, I didn't have the Q2 as long as I had the XMAX 4, so that's something to take consideration. But the Q2's box eventually did give me a lot of problems. I had feeding problems. It kept saying that there was tangled filament, even though there wasn't, and it wouldn't eject some filament. It would just flash a red light. It just became a giant pain in the butt, so I disconnected it and threw it in the closet. Now, recently I did get it out because there's been some firmware updates, and it has been running for me okay, but, I don't trust it anymore. Now, the XMAX 4's box is supposed to be the version 2. It looks identical to me. It does have felt pads on the rollers. Maybe that does something. Maybe that just makes it quieter. I don't know. But regardless, like I said, doesn't matter. You can call it whatever you want as long as it works. It has worked flawlessly so far. This supports engineering filaments and abrasives. So that's really important to me because that's 90% what I print, and I can't use that on the X1C or the P1S because it just will wear the gears out. This just elevates the XMAX 4 again above my other printers and makes it my favorite. So that's the box section of the video. All right, the last little thing is a gimmick, but I really like it anyway, so I'm going to tell you. It's the LED progress bar. It's underneath the build plate. I think one of the new Bamboo printers has this as well, but I really enjoy this. So when the bed is heating up and the nozzle's heating up, it actually will show like kind of heat waves, which is nice because this is some part where I never know if a printer's hung or not, right? Because when you send to the printer, it's just kind of sitting there. What's it doing? It's not bed leveling or whatever, but that's telling me that, the bed is heating up. I love being able to walk through the kitchen and just see where my print is by looking at that LED. I know it's a stupid thing. I normally don't fall for LED nonsense, but it's just one of those quality of life things plus machine polish. I think that's the thing. It shows me that QIDI now is reached that level of making polished consumer products that, aren't good with a little bit of work or good with a little bit of time or good minus, 10% compared to the competition. I guess that's it. So the XMAX 4 is my favorite printer. I love designing for 3D printing, but actually printing can sometimes feel like a roller coaster of emotions, especially when failures start eating your time, budget, and your customers are left waiting. I can't tell you how much relief there is at hitting send on a giant print and then genuinely trusting that's probably going to work. It makes things that honestly would have felt impossible for me 5 years ago, and that's probably the highest compliment I can give it. So QIDI, I'm not going to be sending this printer back. Now, partly that's because I can't lift it into the bed of my truck. So if you want it, you're going to have to come get it. And bring snacks. All right, everybody. Peace.